Well, hello, San Francisco. We are so fortunate to be here at the epicenter of AI, where all these companies around us are shipping new models, new agents, and new autonomous systems at a breathtaking pace. Vercel provides a developer experience and an AI cloud that's actually powering many of these ships. So today, we're going to take a look at how to ship at the speed of AI. Building in AI is like building in an earthquake. I guess that's appropriate for San Francisco. But the ground is always moving. What that means is, the best model changes at any time, sometimes multiple times a day. What this means for us is that your release infrastructure has to be flexible so that you can try out new technology and see what works best for your product. You also want to be really, really fast, and that means under the hood that you need a fast CI/CD pipeline. You need to be able to feature flag features to certain users, and you need to be able to instantly roll back when things don't work. That can often be the difference between a product that stays at the forefront of the user's mind and one that falls behind. Oftentimes, it's actually security that holds AI back, particularly in large enterprises. When you think about AI, it's actually very, very expensive, and that attracts a lot of malicious actors. And there's a growth of malicious actors on the web, bad bots, security exploits that are just waiting to use these AI expensive workloads. So to move fast, applications also need to be secure by default and against the latest threats that are always dynamically changing. Now, most engineering teams are not equipped for this velocity. Their CI/CD and their workflow is not set up to iterate rapidly or to test globally with select users. And in many cases, even at the most cutting-edge companies, developers are setting up this infrastructure DIY. That means there's a steep learning curve and sometimes talent shortages in the developer ranks. Meanwhile, users are eager to move to the latest technology, and we've never seen hunger like this for AI. Business-wise, not having the right tools means that bugs are not easily detected. Security is bolted on, and ultimately, you either ship a suboptimal user experience or you ship a product late. It doesn't have to be this way, and part of the reason why developers like Vercel is because it eliminates that manual toil. Vercel understands your application. It recognizes the framework automatically, and it configures the infrastructure automatically as well. And so when builds are fast and rollbacks are instant, it means that every developer can ship small, iterative changes. And that means that your team can move forward. You can deploy on Friday. You can deploy on Saturday when that new model comes out. Also, security is baked in by default. And so your deployments can be preview deployments that you share only with select users. They can be obviously password protected. And when you do roll out to production, your application is protected by a firewall that is very dynamic and aware of the latest threats on the internet. Underneath it, of course, cost is very important for AI workloads. So Vercel's compute is actually highly scalable. It scales up and scales down. And one thing that's unique is that you're only billed when your application is using the compute. AI workloads are often waiting for a model to do reasoning, or they're waiting to call some other backend. During those times, your application does not cost you anything. And so this is why many AI native companies, from OpenAI to Zapier to Cursor to BrowserBase, choose Vercel for their front ends. And recently, we're also seeing many larger companies, Under Armour, Meta, the New York Times, choose Vercel as well. And this is usually coming in from their developers who want to speed up AI development, even above whatever infrastructure they have in-house today. So this is great, but what if we took this experience to the next level so that it's not only for developers. As it turns out, we can do that. And we did. With V0, everyone can cook. And so product managers, designers, everyone really can write applications and run them on this same Vercel infrastructure, which is designed for developer ease of use and security at scale. So let's see this in action. All right, we're in V0. And so you can do a lot of things in V0. I'm going to start off something. I want to create a novice-friendly homepage where I can chat with two models in parallel, side by side, and pick from these two models, GPT-5 Nano and Claude 3.5 Haiku. So now, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. It's thinking. It's using the AI SDK under the hood. The AI SDK is an open source SDK from Vercel that allows you to connect to multiple models. It's just found some AI SDK examples. Now it's looking through the different pages. It's creating a theme. And there it is. Now it's started creating this application. And in this view, once it's done, you'll be able to also see the code that is generated. And you can also edit the code that is being generated. And so it's a very developer-adjacent persona that can use this. But you don't have to. You can be a complete novice, not knowing anything about the code, and use this application as well. So it's building the dual chat interface. When it is done, we will be able to share this application with whoever we want. We'll be able to invite a user to view or edit the application. And you can either invite everyone, you can share it with the open web, or in most cases, at this early stage, you'll want to share it with just a few people. So let's see, here it is, it's creating. Now you can see the code here that's being created. There's a chat application, and it's going to use different OpenAI models. It's soon going to create great. Okay. I have already created this application, so let me show you that one. I just did it in the back of the office here. And so this is here the two models. You've got the GPT-5 Nano and Haiku. And I can ask it questions. Hopefully you can all see this. I can ask it questions like, let's see, in one sentence, what is the role of a product manager? And so now you can run these two models side by side in this UI that you've created as a product manager, and you can do things like evals. In fact, I've used this for running evals against different applications. And let me go to this deployment. So here, after the deployment is done, I'm in a developer UI, and I can see exactly what happened with this development. I can see that fluid compute, which is that cost-efficient compute, is enabled. I can see that cold start prevention is on, so this application will start very quickly. And I can enhance the build performance if I want. I can use different build machines. So very much having access to all of that. I can also redeploy this application or do an instant rollback to an earlier version. So let's see. I don't think I'll do an instant rollback in this case, but if it doesn't work for me, and I can share this application with various members of the Vercel team and others. Let's see, if we do a redeploy, we can see kind of how quickly the infrastructure works. Let's see. Perhaps we'll do a rollback, confirm rollback. So rather than wait, hopefully I've given you a little bit of a tour of how these features surface in the UI, and then also how you can have access to the developer console. And so with that, maybe we'll go back to the slides. This is going to take a little bit of time. Wonderful. And this is the reason why many companies are using V0, not only Vercel for developers, but also providing V0 to their product teams and their design teams. It means that you can create these kinds of experiences quickly as a product manager. You can use them to prototype with your engineers. You can, in fact, give working code to your engineer, and they can then use that as a starting point. Or you can do as I did, play around with different AI models and do evals. It's actually something that we used in shipping one of the latest models from OpenAI. So as an AI native company, we don't just talk about shipping fast, we also walk the walk. One of the first things you hear at Vercel is that you can just ship things. So any Vercelian has the agency to ship things. In fact, since June, we've shipped more than 150 ships. In fact, most Vercelians, including interns, when they join, ship a new feature within 2 weeks. So you might be thinking, with this kind of velocity, how do we ensure rigorous testing? How do we ensure quality? And how do we ensure good taste? So there's a few principles that we follow, and I'm going to share those. Number one, we work in public. Number two, iterate to greatness. And then number three, know your customer. So I'll give you examples of some of our recent ships. This is the AI SDK, which, as you saw, we were using under the hood in that chat model comparison. This AI SDK is an open source SDK in TypeScript, and it has a public playground. Being open source means that we engage with the community. We engage with developers at large, and we also engage with all of the model providers. It's vendor agnostic, so it isn't optimized for OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini. As you saw, we pull in all the different models. We were doing a major change to the AI SDK this summer. We moved from version 4 something to version 5.0, and this was actually a breaking change. And one of the ways we did this is by working in public, and that's a principle that I want to talk about. We announced that we were going to have a breaking change, and we created the new version in public with the community so they could give feedback to it. That, of course, made the product better. It invited all the different product model providers to integrate with the AI SDK 5.0 and ultimately allowed us to bring an agentic SDK to market that was much more robust than it would have been if we worked in a closed environment. The second principle I'd like to share is iterate to greatness. And the AI Gateway, which was actually also used in this demo, is a backend infrastructure component which backs the AI SDK. And this is not open source. This is actually a product that's built within Vercel. So how do we work in public for a product that's not open source? First of all, everything starts in a Slack channel. So sometime in May, the team started on the AI SDK, on the AI Gateway with the idea. What if we had a gateway that allowed users to use the AI SDK under the hood and made it easy for them to use these models in real applications? Great, so that's a Slack channel, and then a team develops around that idea, and it's very organic. People come and they can contribute objections, they can contribute code, they can start to develop. So very much like you do in open source, we do this internally as well. And then we have demo days. So in demo days, it's really a celebration. No matter what you demo, like the demo I did here today, everyone cheers and claps, and every idea gets an applause. That is very encouraging, and it also opens up the aperture for others to engage. So we launched the Gateway as a beta in June, and it was a fledgling product at that time, but we launched it with users so that we could see how they use it, and we got a lot of really good feedback. One of the feedback we got is, this is a backend component, it doesn't have a UI, how do I really try it? How do I really know what it is like? So we created a playground specific to each model with the gateway. So you could go to the gateway and you could try out a particular model. We also created a free tier. So you get $5 in credits to try out any model. And that made it so that you could try before you buy. And in fact, it was very, very popular. And It attracted also many of the AI model companies. So GPT-5 came to us, and before their launch, they said, can you try out our model and give us feedback and run evals? And that's where, as I mentioned, we ran evals for GPT-5, and we launched right on time with them. And since then, every model that's come out, we are usually incorporating them in the gateway and working on that model 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. So when the model comes out, we're live within hours, sometimes minutes, and you're not waiting days to get the next release. So that's an example of both iterating to greatness as well as releasing fast. The last example I'm going to show is Vercel Agent. This is a very recent project that we shipped just a couple weeks ago. This is an engineering developer-focused product. What it does, it reviews your PRs. So engineers are writing code. Other engineers are reviewing that code. But sometimes you're not getting the harshest review that you should, because you're working with someone who maybe doesn't have time or doesn't want to be too mean to you, doesn't want to give you the malicious comments. Well, AI doesn't have that problem. One problem AI does have, though, is you often get slop with AI. And a lot of coding tools will give you feedback that's not really that useful, and you'll get a lot of feedback, but not, volume, but not quality. We wanted to build something that was different, that was really very tight and all signal. So how do we do that? Well, we have a large developer population, about 700 developers at Vercel. So we shipped this internally. We built it and we shipped it internally for every user. No one is required to use it, but everybody jumped on and used it. And with the feedback that we got, we improved this product such that now it has an acceptance rate of 70%. So this is another product principle: ship to early users and measure. The measurement aspect is super, super important. Most coding tools using AI have a 30 to 50% acceptance rate. 50% is like really, really rare. This product has a 70% acceptance rate. Less noisy, a really useful agent. And so when we went to market with it in a crowded space, there are a lot of coding tools that are based on AI, we actually found a really good product market fit. So that's my last point: know your customer and measure the outcomes. Just to wrap up, every company is on this curve with AI. We've moved from assistants to now agents, and we're now moving to autonomous systems. It's important to have an infrastructure and developer platform that can stay current with the security threats, but also allow you to move quickly. And it's important to have a culture that allows for that speed. And so I've shared some of the principles here: work in public, have demo days that empower every developer and non-developers to cook in parallel. Iterate to greatness, which is really start small, ship something, work with users, dogfood it internally, and have robust metrics to know that you're doing better. And then ultimately, know your customer. It's really important to ship something that is tasteful and is easy to use, and that requires a lot of detail and a lot of work. At the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to get started early, because as you build these products, you gain more experience and learning compounds. We have an event for agents that's coming up later this month, October 23rd, Ship AI, where you will see many more innovations, and many of the community around the AI SDK will be there to share their agents as well. So I invite you all to come to that. Thank you.